you can only watch it for the first time once. It'll be interesting to see what we catch and what we don't.
Did you ever play the video game Mass Effect?
This is where Babylon 5 is becoming Babylon 5.
That was great. I love that.
100% completely accurate, definitive ranking of Babylon 5.
I love it so much.
We're officially into it, Jeff.
The year is 2025. The name of the podcast, Babylon 5, for the second time.
Welcome to Babylon 5 for the second time. My name is Brent Allen.
And I'm Jeff Akin. Brent and I used to be Star Trek podcasters, but then we watched Babylon 5 for the first time, and everything changed. Now we're watching this incredible series for the second time, paying attention to all the things we didn't even know about the first time around.
And you know what? Just like the first time around, Jeff, we are still going to be searching for those sci-fi messages that we find in this series, because what better genre out there than it is to hold up a mirror to society or give you hope that things can be better in the future, or just tell you how to be better human beings to one another. You know what I mean? Now, this is a, Jeff, we asked this question earlier today. What is the Babylon 5 equivalent of a red alert?
We did ask that question.
Yes.
I don't think there
have
is. I don't think there is.
I don't have one. Yeah. So this is a station, Babcom channel open. I don't know, gold channel.
Gold channel. There you go.
Here's the thing. All right. From this point forward, Jeff and I could talk about anything from any episode of anything in the franchise of Babylon 5. Crusade, the films, any background information, anything from cons. We could talk about all of it at any point. This is your spoiler warning. If you have not watched this incredible show first, please do not watch us right now. We beg you, go watch the show. Binge it, get through it. It's 110 episodes total. Get through the show. You will thank us for doing it, and then come back and join us here. But if you choose to stay with us anyway, welcome. You have been warned.
And today we're going to be watching the 6th episode of the first season. It's called Mind War. We're watching it for the second time. And like we said, we're looking for those things that we missed the first time and we had no idea where this story was going. So Brent, what do you remember about your first viewing experience with Mind War?
Honestly, Jeff, I don't remember what my initial,
You might not remember. There's somebody right over here. I don't know if... Yeah. Is that cool? Like,
that guy. This is what I remember. Bester is I don't remember what I thought about this episode, Jeff. I really don't. Like, I know this is the episode we meet Bester in. I don't know anything else about this episode. I don't remember it. I wish I did. I don't remember it. So that being said, it makes me really excited to dive back into this episode, because here's what I do know. You and I referenced this episode. We've referenced Mind War a million times throughout the course of the show. But in my mind, it's the one we meet Bester in. What does he do? He does what Bester does. That's what I know. Like, the crew responds the way the crew responds. Like, yeah, that's what I remember. How about you, Jeff?
I remember not liking it very much.
Yeah.
Like, what I remember is I liked a lot of the ideas in it. I didn't think it was executed very well. But I did look back at some of my notes, and I saw one that we've been talking a lot about how JMS very specifically did this first season in a way to make us believe a certain set of facts that he was then going to flip over a couple of times. Mm-hmm. So it turned out a different way. So I said, at this note, it said, I really want to believe that G'Kar is making sure Catherine didn't die on her mission, that was a show of sympathy and compassion. And maybe it was, given his statement about people not being what they appear, but even just a few episodes in, I can't help but think he's just doing this to hold it over Sinclair's head at some point. I was totally sucked into the G'Kar's a jerk thing.
It's interesting you'd say all that, Jeff.
Oh, yeah?
Well, because while I may not remember what my first reaction was, I do know what my first reaction was. And I know what your first reaction was, because I went back and listened to our original episode.
Really?
Which we haven't done before now.
No.
I did. I went back and I listened to our original episode. Would you like to know what you actually said? You want to see how close you were to what your recollection was?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is what Jeff said. This feels like a super important episode that we're going to look back on a lot. You called it out, which we did. We absolutely did. Overall, though, Actually, both of us said the same thing. We both were in agreement on this episode. We didn't want to watch the episode again.
Oh,
We're like, we know this is an important episode. We know this sets up a whole lot. We know this does whatever. We're gonna look back on this episode quite a bit, but we don't ever have to see it again.
okay.
We're good. You and I both
Yeah.
said we're good. It's fine. You had this great line. You said, I'm more excited to see where this one goes than to actually revisit this one itself.
That's cool. Well, with that, Brent, let's go watch this thing.
Let's do it.
If you're watching us for the first time, hi, it's so cool you're here. The way this is going to work is Brent and I are going to watch this episode for the second time right now. If you didn't catch this episode the first time around, when we talked about our first time stuff that Brent talked about, there's going to be a link button thing up here. Go ahead and hit that. It'll take you to it. Pause this, go to that, watch that whole thing, come right back, hit play, and finish this one. It'll really help fill in a lot of the blanks for you. If you are sticking around, though, and just watching this, you're about to see our reaction to this. You're going to watch Brent and I react to Mind War. If you want to see the full unedited version of that, though, you can head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Babylon5 first, the number 5, the word first, and see all kinds of unedited stuff.
Or check the updated link down below.
Yeah.
This is what it is right now. Hey, listen, if you guys are listening to us on the podcasting app, you're going to hear our reaction. And then, like Jeff said, we're going to hook up on the other side where we'll get to share some of our thoughts about the second watch through. And we'll talk about maybe some of these new messages that we uncover. So, Jeff, let's go watch an episode.
Let's do it.
This is Earth Alliance Fighter Squadron Black Omega to stolen transport. You are
Black
ordered to
Omega?
surrender your vessel and prepare
We
to be
know Black
boarded.
Omega.
If you attempt to escape, you will be fired upon and destroyed. Do you understand? Repeat, surrender.
They got
or-
the symbol painted on and everything.
They are the Black Omega squad. So, Black Omega, which we now know, we wouldn't have known this back then. And people would have expected us to know this back then.
Yeah.
But you and I now know Black Omega is the Psi Corps. It's Bester's personal, like, Star Fury, whatever, squadron. They were going after Ironheart, and they got a little too close, and Ironheart went, nay, nay, and he basically did this. Yes, that's a Star Trek reference, folks. And they disappeared. They blipped. Oh, it's not Star Trek. It's a Marvel. It's a Thanos.
Yeah. Okay, we got to pay attention. I have to pay attention here.
Yes?
This is the dude that stabs Garibaldi in the back.
Yes, great job.
This is him.
Mm-hmm.
No, sir, I just never met a Psi cop before. Yes, sir. I'll bring you there myself. This way.
He didn't ask him anything.
Could you tell me a little more about
He
the
just-
target?
It's Class 4 world, designated
teeped
Sigma
him.
957.
For the-
Elements
yes.
of an atmosphere, mostly
For the audio
nitrogen and
listeners, I'm
oxygen.
just
A
looking at
flyby sensor picked up traces of
957 is so Sigma.
Byproduct of quantum forward.
tritium. Usually, we need that verified. If so, we'll send out a life sciences probe, make sure we're in accord with all the regs on planetary exploitation. But we can't afford that unless we're certain it's.
Can I tell you something, Jeff?
You can.
I am just now, right, as of this episode and the conversations you and I have been having over the last week, aware of what Quantum 40 is.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing, though. Like, it's a big thing here and now and up into part of season, and then it's basically never mentioned again.
Right, but don't they also mention it in, like, Crusade a couple times or something like that?
I think so. Comes up
Yeah,
a
that's
little bit.
that's what I mean. But like you clearly you were like, yeah, it's what stuff the jump gate's made out of, and I'm like, sure, we knew that word. I don't know, but knowing it now, I pick up on this. Oh, of course, that's what they're talking about. I guarantee you, as a first time viewer, I was just like, I don't know what you're saying. You're
I don't
just,
remember-
it's techno babble. It's just techno babble at this point.
I don't remember if it's
you know?
this episode. It might be by any means. I forget which one, but one of them coming up, we find out, oh my gosh, there's a shortage of Quantum 40, Q40 as they call it.
Mm-hmm.
And so like Earth specifically has like a backlog. Like they're building jump gates out there and they're backlogged. I want to say it's 6 months or something like that, but I don't know if I'm remembering that right.
There's a shortage of
Get on it,
Q40 on
Apple.
Earth. It backed up 6 months on jump gate construction.
Which is why we need
Whoosh!
absolute confidence.
Wow.
I need your word that you won't mention
Okay.
Deja vu.
Okay.
including the commander.
My personal life has nothing to do
I
with
know. I was told to ask, so I'm asking. We each have our marching orders, Miss Sakai.
This guy looks like the Jinxo
I have your
actor,
word.
like being legit.
I like this, and I like that he. Oh, that's a really
That's
great
a
pause.
great pause. That's take the watermark down and just let's look at the beauty
Yeah,
of this
look at
pause right
that.
now.
That's perfect timing.
All right, put the watermark back up. Go ahead. What now?
I love how she just like, I think a lot of times in sci-fi, there's the person they go do business with for stuff. She just has random people. You know, this is different than the people last week or the week, you know, whatever. Like, I don't know. It feels very real.
It's occurring to me right now, basically being a telepath out here, it's gig work. It's just gig work. That's all it is. Right? Like, you got a gig now. Let's go do that.
I got my schedule. I'm going to go sit for a negotiation here. I'm going to, you know, go to an interrogation.
And you get paid
over
per
here.
thing. And if you got an empty slot, you ain't getting paid, Jack.
Like instead of tasker, they have teeper.
See, but here's the thing. And knowing this now, that's different because I would have thought coming from Psychor, she's actually being paid by Psychor. And that's not the case. Like, Talia's here working for herself.
With a percentage.
She's not working for OrthGov. She's not with a percentage going back to Psychor. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't think I knew that. Don't think I knew that.
We
Hopefully
learned
she's
that.
Getting paid well.
We learned that when Bester contracts Lita's body. He's like, well, you only have to spend 10%. Like, well, you know, instead of the standard whatever.
Interesting.
Well, then we have a deal.
There is one other thing. The target is in a contested sector of space, so we'll need the approval of one other party before we can proceed with the survey.
That's great. That was great.
Okay, Jeff, do you remember where that storyline goes?
Him and Catherine storyline?
The whole thing with Catherine and Jakar through the rest of this episode. Do you remember where that goes?
Yeah.
Okay, that there's a planet in Narn space that they're going to try to go mine this Q40 from.
Sigma 957.
That's where you got that. Sigma 957. Sigma 957 is that Zahadum?
No.
That's not Zahadum.
There are, I called them the Tiki Party first ones, but I think they're called the Walkers of Sigma 957.
Okay. Oh, is this the one where we get the Tiki head?
No, that's with Marcus much later. Okay. But this is they fly by and it looks like a big party on the outside.
All right.
Disco ball and stuff.
So this is not Zahadum.
No.
Zahadum is not located in Narn space, at least not as of right now.
No.
Okay.
Although I think he's one of the first people who says Zahadum on screen. Jakar is. One of the first, if not the first.
Now I'm listening.
Commander, some VIPs here to see you, sir.
Nia says that this guy right here who's walking out, he was supposed to be the Zach of season one.
No, it's a fine time.
That way.
I agree. Oh, he did it there to Sinclair too.
Get out.
At least he's not doing the like furrowing his eyebrow like.
You want to talk to me? Talk to me.
My apologies, Commander. Saves considerable time.
Gracious.
I don't care.
I would be the same way.
I don't like people rummaging around in my head. I thought the Psychor had rules about this sort of thing. I'm turning the station upside down because you're hunting down one rogue telepath.
Not just a rogue, Commander. This is a special and very dangerous individual whose presence here threatens the entire Earth Alliance military structure.
So just checking in. I'm on a mission in this episode and others with Bester to pay attention to how he interacts with the crew.
Oh, yeah.
And so up front, you know, so he telepaths to Sinclair, 100% understandable for him to be like, no, not cool. And then he's cold to him that point forward. It's fine. I get that because of the way he came off, but he was never inappropriate to Bester until he's just like, I'm not letting you do this, but that's also his job to keep the thing. So far, Bester's being treated okay, but Bester and Lady aren't doing anything wrong outside of like telepathing to him.
I'm going to push back on that just a little bit.
Okay.
That I think gives Sinclair the right to be that much more cold because I literally just made the note about this. Sinclair confronted them, asked them, and they unapologetically confirmed that these Psychops are enforcing rules that they themselves are not bound by.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably gonna I don't like that. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's what they say.
Good,
I don't disagree.
Gander,
right?
Good for the goose, whatever.
Yeah, it's
good
for the goose, good for the gander.
Like I think you come in, you do this, and I say get out. I think, oh, okay, cool, no problem. I thought you guys weren't allowed to do that. Well, we're cops. We can do anything. Yeah, I see who you are now. What do you want? Putting myself in that position, that's exactly where I find myself.
I'll accept that, but I will say that's not a Bester thing. That's a Psychor thing, Psychop thing.
But these are the ones who are right in front of him right now. And that's going to make me act cold to you and probably all Psychops until that particular Psychop proves me otherwise. By the way, I just want to say, Ben agrees with me. Delenn is Team Brent. And Fabio says Ben laid it out masterfully, which just means Fabio also agrees with me.
It just means groupthink is a powerful thing.
500 credits per week based on Earth's standard rotational cycle.
I want to point out in my defense of Psychor, Jason Ironheart is clearly a danger to the station right now.
Clearly.
So like,
but then I also have to ask, who else is a danger to the station? Like here's the thing. Right now, let's put this in X-Men terms. Like, yeah, I don't want to go through a mutant registration process. I don't necessarily like mutants are good people and should be. Also, some of you are a full-on danger to society or to whatever building you're in or whatever, and we need to be able to handle this for everybody's safety. And we need to know who you are. Like, this is the same situation right now to me.
Yeah.
So.
But what I'm saying is like there's Bester coming on the station and being like, we have a random rogue telepath that we are interested in for our own purposes. And then we're here after a rogue telepath that could destroy your station.
Yeah. Not bring down the entire military structure of Earth Force.
Right, yeah,
could literally shake apart the station.
Let's just say that what's in his brain would compromise Earth Force defense and lead to the death of many of our covert operatives on other worlds.
We think he intends to sell that information to other governments.
That's nonsense. Jason would never do anything like that.
Our job is to find him and bring
This is
him
where they
back
need to start
alive,
talking about him being a
if
danger
possible.
to the station.
Dead, if necessary.
Because them saying we have to find him to serve our own, to protect our own, I'm not going to get on board with that. I mean, it's not wrong to, you know what I mean? Like, but it's also, yeah, you're trying to get them to help you out. That's not the pitch.
Just letters.
You understand we'll have to scan you to be sure.
Is that necessary? I'm telling you the truth.
Perhaps.
I'm really going to break all this down. So one, I love Talia's, the break in her voice, like, because being scanned, like they're talking about, is painful. And she wants nothing to do with that, right? So totally get that. But the tone that Bester just had, where Sinclair doing the right thing, standing up for this person who's on his ship, being like, yeah, if she said no, she means no. But his tone is like, look, she has to. Basically, like, right or wrong, we have our organization, and our organization has these rules, and she is a member of our organization and has agreed to abide by those rules. I hear you, Commander Sinclair. This is an A and B conversation. You may see your way out.
Oh, you did not just say that, Jeff.
I did.
She feels completely pushed into this, doesn't she? Like, she's going willingly, but also not very willingly.
Well, she doesn't want to because it's painful. Like,
right.
I'm sure in their training, they all are subject to deep scans from time to time. And so, like, she knows what's about to happen. Yeah.
She's telling the truth. She hasn't seen him.
I honestly would.
Surprising given your prior involvement.
What level of physical threat
Okay, so
does he
Ivana asked a
represent?
good question here.
That's something else you don't need to know.
That's the question.
Just find him.
No, actually, you do.
Yeah, that's not him being a jerk. That's him being bad at his job.
Or he doesn't know. Or Bester really doesn't know what he's doing right now.
Hello, Talia.
Like, you
That's
know what
fair.
I mean?
But I think he knows exactly what he's doing in this one. I think.
I'm not supposed to talk to you. Run away.
Talia, wait, please. Because in this business, whoever has the strongest telepath wins. The military wants to scan the enemy. The enemy wants a telepath strong enough to block the scan. And we want someone who can cut through the block. They said it was necessary to help protect Earth. Anyway, the experiments went on for months. Genetic manipulation, mutated strains of serotonin and acetylcholine to increase neural processing. 5, 10, sometimes 15 injections a day. The pain was...
We also know that they're doing like a breeding program and stuff here.
Yeah.
Then one day, I woke up and I could see everything.
I think that's a really important point because we have talked frequently about the fascist nature of Psychor. Right. And in modern parlance, when we think of fascism, we think of just that, no choice, no nothing, boom, boom, straight lines and all that. What we don't reference so much is just the horrifying experimentation they did, trying to, as I say, improve humanity. But that's what they thought they were doing, right? And the same thing Psychor thinks they're doing. But, right. There's just atrocious things that were perpetrated on people in the name of science, or whatever.
I mean, in this particular thing, like with the breeding program, that's more, okay, we're going to force you to mate and have children, which is bad enough, right? But also we do that with dogs and create new breeds of dogs, but humans are different than dogs. I will acknowledge that. We are more than just mammals. But they're doing that with people of trying to, and what's the worst that happens? The kid that they produce is a regular P level something. That's it. The injections, the chemicals that they're submitting them to, now that's a different thing altogether.
They have no idea, what anything. And 5, 10, 15 injections a day? fantastic point from our council chambers chat over here from Fabio. He could have said, I can see everything. There's a big war coming. No, I'm going to reconnect with an old flame for the last time and then go become God.
I would simply say Ironheart has his priorities straight. Just my opinion.
Just 50 quarters to search. Good. That should help narrow it down. Anatomically impossible, Mr. Garibaldi. But you're welcome to try. Anytime.
What did he just say? What did he just say to him?
He's like, I'm
Shove
gonna
my boots so far up my ass, you're going to taste my dog's poop on the bottom of my shoe.
turn that sumbitch sideways. And so I just want to just break this down, taking all the people out of it. You're thinking something and you don't know me at all, right? And I don't know you at all, but I can read that you're thinking the thing. And we walk by each other and I say to you, that's not going to work, buddy, or, hey, you can't do that, whatever. Who's wrong, right? Who's wrong? And no, Garibaldi didn't say anything. He didn't put it out there. But he's in the presence of a psychop. He picks that up. Like, is Bester wrong for being like calling him out on basically thinking about hurting him? Is that wrong? No, he definitely was a jerk about how he did. Like, he wasn't, he's like, come on, let's do this. That's not cool. Like, I'm not saying Bester is a likable guy or what he's doing is friendly, cool, and nice, but I'm saying like right here, we're all just like, oh my God, Bester's so horrible. He's doing this. Is he though? In this situation?
Oh no, this is him just being a dude. Because okay, just put it in actual verbiage. If you walk past me and say something and you're mad at me and you go, yeah, you do that again, I'm gonna shove my boot so far up your ass, you're going whatever. What's your response? You just gonna try and let him walk away, or you gonna be like, his response? It's the nerd response. He's a nerd.
Yes. Yeah.
It's anatomically impossible, Mr. Garibaldi. Also, if you want to try it, let's go. Let's rumble. Like, that's all that is.
And I can hear everyone else making the comments. I can see them over in the side. He scanned him without consent. He didn't this. If you walk by a person who has the ability to hear and you say something, they're going to hear it and they're going to react to it. They know he's a psychop. They made it clear they're not held to rules. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm saying that this is the reality they live in.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say it's not so much necessarily a scan. It's just it's floating in the air, and we know from later episodes, Garibaldi broadcasts his thoughts
very loudly.
Like, I mean, look, if I walk past somebody who's talking on their phone, but they have their phone on speaker and they're holding it up here, I'm not at fault for hearing their conversation. But it's not like I'm eavesdropping either. You're putting it out there. That's on you, not me.
Well, in the chat, it comes up also, like, we saw that in Midnight on the Firing Line when Talia just walked by Londo and he was so loudly thinking. So that's the thing, right? So it was okay for Talia to pick that thought up and then take action on that. And yes, it saved lives and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But that was okay. But this isn't because it's Bester?
So I'm going to say something, Jeff, and this is going to piss some people off because it's going to hold up a mirror to them. All right. The reason people look at Bester and see what he does and go, oh, he just scanned him without permission. But as you point out, Talia did the exact same thing to Londo. Nobody had a problem with it. It's not because of what happened. It's because of who did it. The truth is you don't actually have a problem with it. You just don't like who did it. And that is so true in so many aspects of life, whether it's in religion, politics, education, medicine, whatever. It's not so much the message that you hate or the action that you hate. It's just a matter of whether or not you agree with this person or this person, whether you want to like it or not like it. That's really it that it comes to. For most things, there are exceptions to that rule. And if we were genuine, integritous adults, we would be able to recognize that about ourselves and be able to recognize when it's our bias against the person versus when it's our bias against the action or idea. And that's an us thing, not a them thing. Also, Bester is a snake, and
he's a piece of garbage. I mean, no question.
Jump gate sequence.
You want to assassinate someone, so you bring in a telekinetic. Murder without a trace. No fingerprints, no poisons. They didn't understand, Talia. The power. How far it...
Jason, what is it?
Get out Please,
Here we go.
I can't control this. Get out!
See, if you're Jason Ironheart at this point, don't you like, I have to get off the station.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to shake this place apart. Like,
What the hell?
by the way, I'm pretty sure he goes to the Avery Brooks School of Acting.
Mind blowing.
They look at that like, oh, we know what this is. We've seen this before. We studied this in the academy.
But at this point, this is where they say to Sinclair, this is why we're here. This is why it's important. It's only going to get worse.
16, about 3 sections further down. What is it? I don't know, but it's got level 16
really bad
completely
effects.
surrounded, 360 degrees. We can't get past it. You ask me right now. We need to know.
I think we needed to know. Yep.
That's what we said.
Yep.
Jeff, that's what you and I said.
Literally the most important thing he could have said.
You withheld information and put this station at risk.
Call me crazy, but don't you think it might have helped for
Sinclair
us
is
to know what we're
correct here.
facing?
Now I want the truth, and I want it now.
Mr. Ironheart is no longer what you or I would consider entirely human.
That doesn't answer my questions.
Right? But I'm going to show the fairness of the Akin view on this. Sinclair was 100% correct to come at him that hard, if not harder. You got people hurt. You've got structural damage. That was a very appropriate response.
And Bester's response was still as schmarmy and smart-ass and non-informative as he possibly could be.
I almost feel like the lady was trying, hey, look, this is where we were coming from, whatever. And then you're right. Bester was just like,
nope, I'm shutting that down.
You got no idea what you're dealing with here, mister.
Yep. This is totally. I'm gonna sneak right up behind her and go.
This won't work. I need to talk to you, Jason.
So what's happening right now is Jason is cognitively controlling whatever's going on in this particular section of the station.
Yeah, because he
can raise, he can lower. He's aware of what's going on around him.
We all thought Psi Corps was controlled by the government, but that's changing. The Corps is starting to pull the strings behind the scene. They're more powerful than you can begin to imagine.
This is huge.
Telepaths make the ultimate blackmailers, Talia.
You know what I picked up from that? It's not just that Psi Corps is pulling the strings, it's that Psi Corps is starting to pull the strings. So this hasn't been a long ongoing thing.
Right.
It's starting right now. Post this election, the shadows are woken up now at this point. No, not yet. Almost. Maybe. Well, yeah, I guess because they would have been woken up when Anna and her crew went to the planet. Have they gone yet?
Mm-hmm.
How many years before Sheridan shows up did that happen? I don't remember. Somebody in the chat, tell us what it is.
Know.
Tell us how long prior to Sheridan showing up on Babylon 5, Anna went missing. But my point being is this isn't something that's been happening for a long time. They're starting to pull the strings. Now, certainly it's been in the works for a very long time.
Yeah, that's where I think it's just starting to come to fruition now.
Good.
Yeah, I love her little bridge.
957 is not a
set.
Yeah.
Like it's not the big thing you see in Star Trek or most other shows. Like it's a cockpit,
Yeah. Hold on.
It's not a bridge.
Confirmed.
It's a cockpit.
Begin preliminary atmospheric
This is pretty
survey.
great. She gets
Launch
snarky.
environmental probe on my mark.
So her impression of
Here it
Picard
goes.
is
Here it
a
goes.
bad British accent.
So we're supposed right now. This is Jakar, I think.
I need to talk
As he's
to
coming,
you.
we're supposed to think he's
I've
coming
seen
to attack
Jason.
her.
What? Where?
Do you know what it's like when telepaths make love, Commander? Drop every defense.
Telepath, so no.
And it's all mirrors, deeper and deeper.
Now, see, take this and apply it to her and Ivanova later, knowing what we know.
Somewhere along the line, souls mix.
Also about her teacher, when she was force married and bred to someone else.
You mean Stoner?
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Look at you, man. It's good. But look at this. Let me draw this analogy. So, Jason Ironheart is to Talia, who Carolyn Sanders is to Bester. They both have their forced marriage person that they, do their duty as the best they can. But then they have like their true, real loves. What I find remarkable about that, both Bester and Talia, they're my everything. Like Bester is willing to burn the galaxy down for a shot at getting Carolyn back. Here, Talia is just go do this thing. He might rip the station apart, but it's worth it. Interesting.
That's a good comparison. I would not have thought about that. That's really good.
Oh yeah, look at that. Twice sound. So here it is. Party first ones. Here's the disco ball.
Dude, it's a Carnival Cruise is what it is. It's an alien Carnival Cruise ship.
So it literally popped
what the
out,
hell was that?
checked her out,
Unknown.
popped back in.
Computer.
Or flew away.
Power loss.
Emergency power.
Negative emergency power.
No. I refuse. I am not going back with you.
This man is under my protection.
You don't know.
Is this
what
similar to
you're
when
doing, Commander.
Londo and Beard did walk Jakar out of the no. It was Jakar and Londo walked Natoth through the halls of the Centauri Prime stuff. And they were like being drunk or whatever, trying to get them through. Like, all right, probably not at all like that, except they're just walking through, trying to get through, but whatever.
There's not much.
The failsafe code. They're trying to shut him down.
Doesn't like Bester's in a different spot right now. There you go.
I won't go. I won't go back.
Is that when Talia got her
Please.
Teak ability?
No. Don't make me do this.
Is that the gift he left her right there?
Oh yeah.
You cannot harm me. You cannot harm one who has dreamed a dream like mine.
Now wait, he could do that to Chicky with the lips. Why couldn't he do that to Bester?
Because he just got shot.
No time.
Let's just pretend for a second.
All right.
That instead of just knocking Talia back and potentially giving her that gift right there, he disappeared her and not Baroness.
Okay.
Like, oh, and I don't mean that against Baroness, our Baroness. I mean like the Cobra Baroness.
Okay.
Would we be okay with that? Because we seem to be okay with him taking out the Baroness.
In memory of love,
here we go, Jeff.
I give you a gift. The only gift.
In memory of
love. Oh, this is when he gives it to her.
Okay, is this not assault? Is this not, I mean...
Gave it to her without consent?
Yeah.
Literally altered her brain without telling her what it was or asking if it was okay.
Not much of a choice, is it?
It gets better. Your report will indicate that Talia Winters was not responsible for her actions in helping Ironheart, that she was under his mental control and should not be penalized for her actions.
That's a lie.
Yes, it is. What's your point?
There's a transport leaving Earth in 20 minutes, Mr. Bester. Be on it.
Be seeing you, Commander.
Two thoughts. First, I am surprised Bester wasn't like, cool, tell him that happened. I'm Alfred freaking Bester. Like, whatever. The fact that, like, showing he has that level of fear or whatever about, like, getting tattled on, I find that very inconsistent with his character. I also find that it undercuts a lot of my earlier arguments where I was like I even wrote it down here. Everyone's talking about how those Psychops are breaking the rules. You can't do that. There's rules against this. They outright told us that those rules don't apply to them. So yeah, there are rules, but they're not their rules, so they aren't breaking them. But if that's the case, why does he care if Sinclair tells them what really happens? So I'm shifting over a little bit, but I also find that choice of Bester's to be not in character for him. And to straight up agree to just lie. That's my second thought. Like, who's the bad guy here? Bester. But also, hey, so here's what happened, and here is the blatant lie that you're going to tell about it, so that you don't have to face the consequences for what you did, and we don't have to face the consequences for what we did. But as viewers, Sinclair and Garibaldi are heroes, and Bester's a villain, where I think this whole thing is a lot more gray than we would make it out to be. Yeah, I don't think
that
she's
looked
telling
like
you
a
much.
Canadian coin to me.
Yeah, it's her lucky penny.
That is a penny. That is Abraham Lincoln, a United States Earth penny. What are they doing with that?
Abrahamo Lincoln.
Well, she just moved it just a little bit.
Oh no! Oh, I thought it would. Oh, it's later.
Didn't
That's
it
later.
fly into the wall and like stick into the wall?
Miss Sakai,
I think that's in the Underground Railroad episode.
Yes, thanks to you. Just one question. Why?
Why not? There are things in the universe billions of years older than either of our races. They are vast, timeless, and we've learned that we can either stay out from underfoot or be stepped on.
You know, right now he's basically talking about the shadows.
Yeah.
Like he knows the history of Narn's original conflict with Shadows 1,000 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like, stay out from under their foot. We're never going to talk to them. Just don't be crushed, right? Like that's what he's talking about. By the way, in our first episode, you were particularly enamored with this speech.
Really? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You were. Yeah, this is just his again, I think this kind of goes back to those first indications that G'Kar is not just the bad guy villain of the show, which is what we've been led to believe in the first 5 episodes.
I also found there's a really interesting thing he said that we can't communicate with them. Believe me, we've tried.
We've tried, yeah.
In 3 seasons, we do communicate with them. Like with the work that Ivanova and Marcus go out and do, pulling Lorianne in, like we get to a point that as a galaxy, able to communicate with them. Not effectively, necessarily, but...
Well, it also took Sheridan dying to make it happen, but...
True.
You know, whatever.
They must walk there alone.
They tried.
And Maddie brings up, it really could just be a reference to the first ones in general, not necessarily the Shadows.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
Maddie's absolutely right. I'm specifying the Shadows, but... I wonder how much Auntie got paid.
Yeah, what is scale?
How do you not listen to that final speech there from G'Kar on the second watch, knowing where G'Kar goes, and not just be like, oh, that's the G'Kar.
Yeah.
That's my G'Kar right there.
He's speaking in metaphor and painting pictures and like just all of the oral skills that we get from him, he's doing right here. And with that humility. You know, the humility, because there's these, you know, the race, it's whatever. Like, yeah, as I said, that's like season 4.
Gush over it, Jeff. Gush over it, Jeff. Do it.
It's so good. Everything about it is good. The fact that we were deceived about who he is, the fact that he's coming in, literally laying out the next 3 seasons for us, and the overarching theme of all science fiction, that there is stuff out there we do not, cannot, and will not understand. But damn it, we're going to go try. We're going to go out and do it. And I love how, like, I can look at it with the lens of a first-time viewer, and I can still see where I'm like, well, he's still playing against the commander. Like, I want to think this is good, but he got in just a few little things about, well, I wouldn't want the commander to this.
Now, here's the thing. This is the first time you're really seeing your G'Kar.
Uh-huh.
Now you've got a first-time viewer going through, and that first-time viewer is going... You know what? I bet he's just saying that to just playing against the commander.
Yep, exactly.
I bet that's all he's doing. Now gush over him. Respond to me, Jeff. Mr. Person who's seen the whole show and I haven't. I bet he's just playing against the commander.
I can see how you'd think that. He said a lot of
No,
stuff.
that is not what you said.
No, I can see how you'd think that. Says a lot of things that makes it sound like he's against the commander and Sinclair and everybody. But the reality is, if you really listen to what he said, he cares deeply about all life. Not just his life or Narn's life, but everyone's, because he knows there's more out there. He knows there's something bigger than any one of them, and he wants it to be better for them.
Might this be one example of G'Kar's words from earlier talking about himself? Not everyone here is exactly as they seem.
Yeah, just showing it right there.
Right.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I loved it the first time. I loved it the second time. It's so good. I just love, there's a couple.
Wait, I'm sorry. You loved what the second time? Because you did not love the episode the first time.
Correct. I loved G'Kar's speech.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. And one of the things I loved about this episode was between G'Kar and Catherine's story with with Sigma 957, and then what we learned about Psychor and what Ironheart shared about it, we kind of got the series laid out for us again. They're pulling the strings. There's this. Little did we know that those 2 things were actually connected, you know, with Psychor and the Shadows, you know, being in league with each other. But we got those 2 huge angles just spelled out for us.
You know, we get that one shot or one little scene later on where we're in the president's office or vice president's office back on Earth, right? And there's the vice president or the senator or whomever it was. It wasn't Clark. And then Morden was there.
Yep.
And then the Psycop was there, and we realized they're all 3 working together.
Yeah.
Now we know that they're all kind of doing a thing, but did we ever really get any true clarification on exactly how the Shadows Are you? I mean, think about that. The only thing that stops the shadows is Psycor, so they've teamed up with Psycor to control. Like it. I feel like they never really fully explained exactly how that dynamic was working. Did I just miss that, or
I don't think they dwelled on it a lot, because what I think of it being is they needed telepaths to pilot their ships, right? Because they need human CPUs, and what they know is it's better if that's why they had all the Psycor people that were the Teepsicles, to do it. That said, Anna was able to do it, so they don't necessarily have to be, but maybe it's just it's like high octane gas versus just regular octane gas.
Well, I mean, you've got the what do you call them? What are the rogue telepaths? What do they call them?
The blips.
The blips. You've got the blips that's the people you're just going to try to throw away anyway. So let us go use them and put them in our ships so we can control them versus just culling the herd as the Goa'uld do. We'll take actually your refuse because we could use them. And, oh, by the way, the telepath's actually a little bit easier to do than say Anna. So,
but then they kind of like fed they were feeding EarthGov just like, or Clark, specifically through all that, the same way they were feeding the Centauri through Londo, and and the Drazi when they had they just had their people in all the little governments to try and get everybody to fight.
We saw how they were doing it with Londo. We never really saw how they were doing it with Clark.
No.
Like, we know that they were doing, we just don't know. Like, that's what I mean. Like, I feel like we're assuming a lot, although like we kind of know what was going on, but like they really never explored that, and that's okay. They didn't have to.
Because I think if you think about it from a thematic and storytelling standpoint, the Centauri were the storytelling device for how the shadows do their stuff. EarthGov was the story of fascism and the dictator, and having a tyrant with massive, super powerful backing behind them. Because if you remember, one of the big things that led to Clark didn't just off himself because Sheridan showed up. He did it because they knew the shadows weren't around anymore. Like, I have no backing, and you're at my front door. So it's same story, just different aspects of it, I think. So I want to give my final where I've landed on Bester.
Okay.
And being treated. Now, here's what I know. Bester doesn't show up again in this season. The next time he shows up is in season 2. And Sheridan makes the comment, hey, I watched that episode you were in, so, like, I know what's up with you. Basically, he's like, I read the reports. What we had here with Bester was he's an elitist, narcissist who believes he's better than anyone and everything, but also has jurisdiction, like legally. Has some jurisdiction. And when you boil it down, we got into that fight. It was a fight of jurisdiction. Sinclair's like, this is my station. I want things run this way. Bester's like, we have a dangerous rogue person over here. I want to do things this way. And they never had the actual conversation of, well, then how does this jurisdictional thing work? How do you do this? So I'm going to say Bester was wildly inappropriate, crossed lines.
Right.
Also wasn't wrong. And I think that from go, Sinclair, Garibaldi were giving, like, it was a level. It wasn't one person. Oh, this guy was bad, so this guy did this. No, they both came at it in a way that could only lead to conflict. And this one at both, and also saying Bester's a jerk. But my question that we'll answer in season 2: Bester's ultimate crime was withholding information. That's the thing I cannot dispute.
Very important information.
Critical information. Does that warrant his future treatment a year later when they see him again? We'll answer that question in season 2. So I'm not landing at he was a victim, but I'm also not landing at he deserves to be treated like a jerk.
Right. If I'm Sheridan and I'm reading the report of what you and I just saw, Bester comes out. Now, who's writing that report?
Oh, Sinclair.
Okay. I read that report from Sinclair's viewpoint. Bester comes in. I immediately have my guard up, because my fellow Earth Force captain, who was in the same chair that I was in, said whatever Sinclair is going to say. I immediately have my guard up, and I'm kind of taking my cue from whatever Sinclair said in the thing.
I don't remember how it went, but if Sheridan did this, hey, I read the report, and I know how you showed up last time. This is how it's going to be with you and me. That's not going to work here. Kind of like acknowledge there was a bad thing here, but we're going to establish our relationship and how that works from here moving forward. That's the right way to do that.
Jeff, what you have just described is the very first episode Of the Psi Corps Leadership Academy.
No, because I don't think they did that. I don't think they do it. Is that
I was trying to think of of the Alliance Leadership Academy.
Okay, yeah, there you go. But for real, like, it was just like, look,
Interstellar Alliance Leadership Academy. There you go. That's
okay, I like that. No, for real, because like, look, you screwed up. I see that. I know that. I'm not going to tolerate that. So let's start fresh with both of us knowing that we know that. But if he comes out guns firing, then in my mind, he will be guilty of everything that happens afterwards. It'll all be Sheridan's fault. That was hyperbole and not true at all.
I really like the Interstellar Alliance Leadership Academy. That's a good one. We need to market. That's a t-shirt, Jeff.
Right.
Like whether it ever becomes a thing, like we need to get the logo for the Academy and like it's a, you know,
get the thing going.
Alumni, put alumni.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Class of 2257.
There you go. I like it. Jeff, did you pull any messages out as you were watching this time?
I actually did not.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, again, we could dive into what I think I did the last time. So in our first episode, and you heard this, but I gave this 2.5 deltas. You gave it 4 deltas.
I
did you place a lot of those deltas on Jakar's speech at the end?
Yes. Yeah. But also on it was also on how they treated Ironheart. Actually, it was more so on what they treated Ironheart. Because my point with that was you can't be afraid of the unknown. You see, Bester and the Psi Corps lady were scared of what Ironheart had become, and they also wanted to know how to get it themselves. But Sinclair was able to go in and actually have a conversation and talk to him and get to know him, and then be able to make a decision. All Bester wanted to do was come shut him down, and then take him back and study him. But like. And so that was an underlying pin to the whole episode. I did get something else though this time around. Outside of Mirror to Society, Psychops enforce the rules that they don't have to follow. But Ivanova asked a very simple question: who watches the Watchers? Which I think is a great underlying piece of the whole deal, and was not something that this episode explored, but it posited it and threw it out there in a very clear like. That's one of those lines, who watches the Watchers, that I think writers have, like a phrasing that they have that they stick in their back pocket and just wait for a time where they can use it.
Right. Yeah.
Much like a phrase that goes, "That's need to know information, mister, and you don't need to know."
I know. Right?
Like,
turns out we did.
Yeah. Also, it's a little bit of a cheesy line, and I'm not sure where all I've heard it, but I know I've heard it in many different places. So.
Oh my God! Here's the message that I got out of this.
Great.
No one here is exactly what they seem. And but where I'm going to dive into that, because I'm just like a dog with a bone with this thing, and I'm just not going to let up. The community's like, Bester is horrible and evil, but no one here is exactly what they seem.
Jeff, except Bester, he is exactly what he's.
But he's not.
Actually, no, Bester isn't exactly what he seems. He's worse than what he seems.
We find out that he's worse, but where I'm going,
folks, I got you. I am with you. I'm going to keep this fool in line. All right. I got you.
This is where I'm going though.
Ow, that hurt. Yeah, go ahead.
Bester could not be any other way.
Have you read the first book of the Psi Corps trilogy?
I'm halfway through it.
Absolutely. The way he was raised, he could not turn out any other way.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. It is a miracle that JMS turned out different from the way he did.
Yeah.
Given how he was raised.
And that said, oh God, I can't believe I'm going to say this, because Byron was raised that way and he saw it differently. Byron was the JMS of the Psychops. Except Byron did bad stuff for quite a long time. JMS didn't do bad stuff.
Byron took what Byron did was he took all of that and again, because he said, you don't do to people what they have done to you, you do to people what you want them to do to you. And Byron went in and he started doing to folks what had been done to him. By the way, I just wanted to let you know, Fabio, this one is for you, my friend.
Purple. Green.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm right on that. Did you find any other messages in that came up?
No, because I was so enthralled with all the other stuff that we were talking about.
I know.
Jeff, this episode is now up to 2 hours on our recording length. I don't know what this is going to be when we edit it down, but we're up to 2 hours on a recording length. Typically, this whole thing front to back is an hour and a half. You and I stopped a lot to talk about a lot in this episode because we were finding so much, which is what makes Babylon 5 for the second time so special and so good, and exactly the way we knew this would be, because you could just take what we talked about and turn all of those into individual podcast episodes that'll go 30, 45 minutes.
Oh, totally. Well, I just think, I mean, we already wrapped this part up, but I just got to go. There's so much foreshadowing in this. We laid out the first one stuff. We laid out the Psychor stuff. I don't know that deconstruction of Falling Stars was ever a part of the plan, right? You know, for the arc or whatever, it was kind of got to fill it in, but this planted the seeds for the end of that, you know, with the sun getting blowed up and humanity becoming or whatever. Like, again, to check myself at hanging out with the council chambers a couple of days ago, I was like, yeah, this episode happened and then nothing in it mattered. No, actually everything. 100% of stuff that happened in this episode totally matters.
Well, Jeff, with that, we're doing something, my friend.
What are we doing?
We are creating the absolute 100% and completely accurate and definitive ranking of Babylon 5 Season 1 for the second time.
Oh, yeah.
So far, we're pretty in line with our first rankings. Will that continue? Will it not? I don't know. Our top 5, because we only have 5 episodes in the season so far. Number 1, Parliament of Dreams. Number 2, Born to the Purple. Number 3, Midnight on the Firing Line. 4, Infection. 5, Soul Hunter. Jeff, where is Mind War going to find itself in the top 5? Because I know it's going to be in the top 5.
It is. Spoiler alert, Soul Hunter will no longer be in the top 5.
But Infection will.
I'm in a very big way in a lot of the same places I was the first time I watched this, where like so much awesome stuff was laid out and whatever. Also, there's a lot of poor execution in this. There's some pretty ridiculous acting. The effects left a lot to be desired. I think they were more interested in like planting the seeds and giving you exposition about Psychor and stuff than they were about like the story in the episode. And that's awesome. That's great. But it doesn't make for a really entertaining episode. But ultimately, I'm doing the mental math right now, and I'm asking myself the question that we always ask. It's the final like litmus test. Which would I rather watch? And so between Infection and Mind War, the answer, Brent, is Mind War, which is going to be our new number 4.
Wow. Okay. Actually, that's not surprising at all. That's exactly where I thought you were going to go.
Cool. Yeah, those other the Firing Line, Born to the Purple. Those are just great episodes.
Well, Jeff, that's going to do it for Mind War. Next week, we are watching The War Prayer, which you and I had a big to-do last time about Mind War, War Prayer. What is this?
Right.
Do you remember what your prediction was for War Prayer last time we went through this?
I think my exact thing I said was, you know, it's been a little bit and it's been building up. It's time that this thing turns into something. We're going to get the start of like a Narn Centauri war, probably over in the Euphrates sector, because we've been talking about that for a while. So I was pretty sure this was going to be the start of that war. What did you think it was going to be about?
I said this was going to be a direct sequel to Mind War, just because they both had war in the name.
Fair.
But here, I laughed when I heard what I said. I said, we've got to follow up immediately what happens with Talia. There's no way they're going to let that drop or even sit for a bunch of episodes.
Or a whole season or so.
So the next time we really come back to this whole moving the penny thing, the next time I can think about it is when you get all those runaway blips, like the Underground Railroad episode.
You get the Mary Had a Little Lamb.
2? Boy, was I off on that one.
Oh man, I'm excited to see it. I remember parts of the episode, and I remember this was a big moment for us. I think it was Katerina who reminded us of this, or someone recently, that like the episode itself, and then the fact that we saw DC Fontana wrote it, like this was the moment we got pulled into Babylon 5.
Was this moment here? Oh, the next
War
episode
Prayer.
because DC Fontana wrote it.
Yeah.
It certainly was the moment that I'm going to use a word that JMS, if you're watching, I very much apologize for using this word. I just don't have a better word right now off the top of my head. Having DC Fontana as a writer, for me as a Trekkie, who frankly had never heard of the name J. Michael Straczynski before. I didn't hear about it before this show. I'm sad that that's the case, and I'm obsessed with going back through all of his stuff right now. Seeing DC Fontana pop up for the first time legitimized this show to me. And I feel so bad saying that, but it did. Like, the show wasn't legitimate until she came over from Star Trek because she's Star Trek. Like, that sounds so ugh right now. Like, ugh. But that was, I think, my true God's honest first reaction coming over the way that I came over, man.
Well, we'll find out why we felt that way next week. right here when we watch it for the second time. Thanks for joining us. Please subscribe wherever you're watching us or listening to us. Give us a like, give us a rating, all the cool things that you can do on whatever app you are consuming this program on. The one thing you can do for us, though, that means the absolute world is to share this show with anybody who's going to love it, whether they've seen Babylon 5 before or not. Just let them know that there's two dudes watching this thing and gushing over it all the time. So until next time, I'm going to go right.
Hey, Jeff.
Yes, what's up?
Hey, got a joke for you.
Okay.
What did the Carnival Cruise Line first ones say to Catherine when she asked about, is there anything, if there was anything interesting there on the planet?
I have no idea. What did they say?
Zog.
Oh, for crying out loud.
I mean, we're not some deep space franchise. This station is about something.